Welcome back to our second vlog. We're playing 2-5 at Jamul Casino. Let's get right into it. First hand in, we have ace-5 suited in the big blind. Undergun 1 makes it 15. Small blind calls, and I do think I tend to go down the lower variance route when I'm starting the session, and that's what I do here. I just call, so we go 3 ways to a flop. Flop comes queen, king, ace, so we have top pair, bad kicker, backdoor flush draw. Text undergun 1, he bets 25, small blind folds, and we're not going nowhere with top pair, so we call. Turn is another queen that's pretty good, since I don't know if he's betting a queen on the flop, and now we're chopping against all of the aces that if he had one, he was probably beating us since our kicker's pretty poop. So we check and we get the good news when he checks back, so now I think we're probably good. We're planning on doing a small bet on the river, trying to get value from the kings until a jack comes out on the river. So now any 10 is beating us, so I don't see the value in betting on this river. So I decide to check, and he checks back. I show with my ace, and it's good since he shows us a king and mucks. Next hand, we have ace king off in the button. Does one limper, cutoff makes it 25. We 3-bet to 75, and only the cutoff calls, so we go heads up to a flop. Flop comes 6-4 jack, so not the best since I don't have any diamond, and the jack definitely hits his calling range. But when I 3-bet pre-flop, I tend to usually c-bet on the flop, so that's what I do. I bet $50 and he calls. Turn is f4, he checks, and I don't like this card. I'm not a big fan of barreling bluff when the board pairs, and I don't have many 4s in my 3-bet range, and he's a pretty aggressive player, and if I bet again, I think he may take advantage of that and check raise with draws, just knowing I don't have any 4s. So I think my ace king is good a lot here, so I don't want to get blown off of the best hand, so I check. River's a jack, so interesting spots is now it's less likely he has a jack and all of the draws miss, but I don't have to think about it too much since he checks, and I think my ace has plenty of showdown. I don't need to turn it into a bluff. I check back and he shows 5-7 for a straight draw on the flop, but just 7 high, so our ace high is good. Now that we got the small pots out of the way, let's get into a big one. We're an under the gun 2, we're looking at pocket 6s, we make it 15, and hijack, cutoff, and big blind call, so we go 4 ways to a flop. Flop comes 8-8-6, so yeah, we flop a full house. It checks to us, and I decide to check since most of my ranges will be checking here. If I bet, it can look pretty strong, and if someone has an 8, we could be check raising and just building a pot from there. So that's what I do, and hijack and cutoff check, so we go 4 ways to a turn. Turn is an ace, and when it checks to us, now we got to get some value from the aces, flush draw, straight draw, or maybe slow playing 8s. So we make it 30, and both the hijack and cutoff call, and now the big blind makes it 150. That looks pretty strong, but I wouldn't be surprised. This player's aggressive, and it's a pretty cool spot to bluff since most likely none of us have an 8, since I checked the flop, and so did hijack and cutoff. So I just call. I don't want to 3-bet here. I'm hoping that maybe hijack and cutoff call with a draw, but they don't. They fold, so we go heads up to a river. River is a king that felt a little scary since now king 8 and ace 8 are beating us, but he's the big blind, so I think he could have almost any 8, and he raised and called a 3-bet on the previous hand with 7-5 suited, so I definitely think he could have a lot of combos of 8s apart from the bluffs, and so he bets $300, and I tanked for a while here. I wasn't sure if I should just call or jam, but at the end of the day, I did think he had a lot more combos of 8s that aren't just the ace 8 and king 8, and it'd be pretty hard to fold for just 400 more that he had behind. So I do end up going for the all-in, and he calls and shows us the bad news when he shows king 8 for the river full house, and he takes it down. Let's move on to the next. When we have ace queen off under the gun 1, we make it 15. Another low jack 3-bets to 40. That is on the smaller side. I haven't seen him 3-bet that often. He mostly calls, so I think it could be pretty strong. Button calls, small blind calls, and I decide to call, so we go 4 ways to a flop. Flop comes queen 5 jack, so we have top pair, top kicker, checks the low jack, and he now checks, and the button checks as well, so we go 4 ways to a turn. Turn is 8, so 9-10 now has a straight, but I think low jack would not 3-bet with that, and button may bet the flop with it, so small blind can still have it though, but he checks now, and I want to go value with my top pair, top kicker. I bet $80, and only the low jack calls. That was definitely interesting. I'm not sure what checks the flop and now calls a turn, maybe ace king. Maybe he has a flush draw that they want to bet. I'm not sure, but let's go to a river. River is now a jack, and I decided to check since I felt like mostly he just got sticky with maybe 2 overcards or some type of gut shot, some straight draws, flush draws that then decide to bet on the flop. So that's what I do, and now he bets 150. Definitely a weird line. I didn't see too many hands that played this way that checked the flop and then called a turn that are beating us.
Over pairs, I think are always betting the flop. And I don't think he has too many jacks since he calls a lot pre-flop. So ace jack, king jack, queen jack, jack 10. I think I'm mostly calling. So I did check to call. So that's what I do. And he shows pocket eights for the turn set, river full house. That, yeah, I mean, pretty hard to put him on. And I did think he was calling that pre-flop. So yeah, he takes it down.
All right, we're taking a little break. Now we're running the best. I just want to say, I think I handle pretty good running bad. I don't get on tilt. I don't get mad. But one thing that I do think that happens to me sometimes is I tend to call more often. When I keep on having a losing hand, I just become a non-believer. I'm like, oh, they can't have it every time. And when I'm in doubt, I go for the call. So I kind of feel like I'm in that place. So I decided if I'm in a spot that I'm not sure, I'll just lean towards folding.
So yeah, in doubt, we fold. Next hand, we're under the gun when we looked at queen jack suited. Let's see if we could turn this session around since we're down over 1,000. We make it 15 and only the cutoff call, so we go heads up to a flop. What's the most amazing flop you could imagine? Well, it's almost that. Ace king 10, we flop the nuts plus a gut shot to a royal flush. We c-bet for $15 and get the good news when he calls. Turn is a 4. Now we want to get as much value as possible. We bet pot $60 and he doesn't fold or call. He raises us to 180. This just can't get better. This raise is so strong since this board is so good for our range. We have aces, kings, ace king, ace 10, queen jack. We have all the nutted hands, so him raising here is just, he's saying he has a really strong hand. And those hands usually don't fold. And even if he has queen jack like us, if I go all in here, we're free rolling for a flush. So I decide just to do that. I go all in for a total of $660. He doesn't seem very happy, but does end up calling, asks me how many times I want to run it. I tell him I don't care, it's up to him. He asks twice, so let's do 2 runouts. First is a 3 of diamonds, so we have the nuts. Second is a 4 of hearts, so now we're losing against 10s, because I think aces and kings are 3-betting pre-flop. And we show our hand, and he shows that he had ace, king, so yeah, just a cooler. And we take it down, session's turning around, looking pretty good. This was all under an hour, so definitely a pretty intense start for a session. Next hand, we have 5-6 off in the big blind. Under the gun 1, cut off and button limp, so we check, happy to see a free flop. Flop comes 6-4 deuce, so top pair, gut shot, backdoor flush draw, pretty good. I don't want this to check around and just give overcards a free card, so I bet $10 and both under the gun 1 and button call, so we go 3 ways to a turn. Turn is ace. That's not the best since they could definitely be floating with ace. Maybe they have ace 4, ace 2 suited. So we decide to check, and now under the gun 1 bets $10. That was definitely small, didn't feel that strong. Button calls, and we're not going anywhere with a pair of 6s and a gut shot. We call. River's a queen. I check, and now he bets 20. And I don't know. I felt like if he had an ace, he'd bet bigger on the turn, not just $10. And now with 2 overcards, I don't think he's betting with a 6. So did I say something about folding? I don't think so. I call, and he has ace 9 off. So yeah, I'm kind of surprised about that one. I definitely felt like he'd bet bigger on the turn, but hey, he got max value out of us, so he takes it down once again. Next hand, we have jack 9 off in the big blind. Under the gun limps, cutoff makes it 15, button calls, and for 10 more, we call. Under the gun calls as well, so we go 4 ways to a flop. Flop comes ace, ace, jack, so we have 2 pair, 9 kicker. Not the best going 4 ways, but it checks around, so seems decent. Maybe I have the best hand. Turn is a 9. That looks good, but changes nothing. And once again, it checks. River is a deuce, and now it checks to the cutoff. That was a pre-flop raiser, and he bets $60, and it falls to me. And this makes no sense on such a brick. What the hell is he checking twice with 4 ways and now bets so big on the river? And I know, guys, I said to fold, but what the heck is this? This makes no sense. So I'm not that in doubt to fold, I guess. I call. Under the gun folds, and he says full house. How the heck does he have full house? He has pocket 2s for a rivered full house. And once again, he takes it down. I seems like we just cannot fold. But what are you going to do? Am I really going to put him on pocket 2s? That's just, come on, guys. On to the next. Now we look down at ace queen off and under the gun 1. Under the gun makes it 10. That is not really a thing. That's pretty small. So I'm going to take it almost as a limp. I 3-bet to 35. And under the gun 2, hijack, and under the gun call. So we go 4 ways to a flop. Flop is beautiful. It's ace queen 6. So we have top 2 and the backdoor flush draw. It checks to us, and having the ace of clubs, I decided to bet on a smaller side since we have so much of this board flop covered. We make it $60, but sadly everybody folds, but still a pretty nice pot to take down. Now we look down at pocket tens from the low jack. Under the gun limps, under the gun 1 makes it 15, and I don't really have a calling range in this spot unless I'm set mining, so I make it 45, cut off calls, and now under the gun that limped goes all in for a total of 185. It folds to me, and this would usually look very strong, limp jam, especially when someone 3-bets is this nutted, but this player's been very action, and he just lost a pretty big hand, and he was showing his hand to the neighbor. So altogether, and plus there's so much in the pot already, I'm not going to fold, but I don't want to call either and get the cutoff to call as well. So I 5-bet to $400, and cutoff does fold. So let's see the run out. Flop comes 9, 8, king. Turn is a 5, river is another 5. He says 2 pair, that doesn't really mean anything, and then he shows us the good news. We shows pocket 3s, so our 10s hold and we take it down. After this hand we gotta change table since we're on the must move. That's a bummer since this table was really good, but we actually got lucky since our name was not on the list to change tables, so we stayed a lot longer than expected. Finally we did move because the guy realized and told the floor. So onto the main table, let's see if we could keep it going and get in the green. First hand we look at on the new table is ace king suited, so a very nice welcome. We make it 15 under the gun and only the button calls, so go heads up to a flop. Flop comes 10, 7, queen, so we have a gut shot, 2 overcards, but that's not worth much on a monotone board. I decide to check and button checks back. Turn is a king, sadly of clubs, and I decide to check since I think if I bet here, nothing worse is going to call, and I can't get more than 1 street of value from worse hands, so I could bet the river. So that's what I do, and he checks back. River is a 3 of clubs, so a flush on the board, our hand is counterfeited, and I check since I think he could have some medium strength clubs that check the turn, and he checks back, and he doesn't, so we chop it up. We're getting close to the end of the session, a few more hands to go through. Next one we have king jack off in the low jack. We make it 15 and only the small blind call, so we go heads up to a flop. Flop comes ace king 4, so a middle pair, jack kicker. We're planning on betting, but he checks and says that if I bet he'll check raise me, and this is a very crazy aggressive player, so I believed him. And do I want to get check raised with middle pair? No, I don't think I do, so I decide to check back. Turn is the 8 of spades, and once again he checks and says he'll raise me if I bet. And one of the hands I thought he could be doing this with was a draw, and a flush does come in, so I'm not loving it if he check raises me, and I do believe him, so I check. River comes a deuce, and he just mucks. So yeah, definitely an interesting hand. No clue what he had. For the last hand of the session, we look down at 7-8 suited in the button. Under the gun makes it 20, and only we call, so we go heads up to a flop. Flop comes queen 8 4, so we have middle pair 7 kicker. Now he checks, and I want to bet, get protection. I think we're beating a lot of the hands that are under the gun and decide to check on the flop, so that's what I do. I bet $20 and he called. Turn is a deuce, he checks, and I usually check back here, but against this player I've seen him get pretty sticky when he's a pre-flop raiser, and I can see him floating with a decent amount of hands that I don't want to give a free river to, so I decide to bet $40 with the plan of just checking back the river if he does call, and he does call. River is an ace, so not the best, and now he leads out for $100, so I definitely wasn't expecting that. Just wanted to check back the river, so that didn't work out. I think for a little while trying to figure out what does this, but at the end of the day I just think my hand is way too weak to hear a call here, especially when there's not that many draws, so I do find a fold. He later tells us that he had queen 8 for flop 2 pair, so if that's true, we definitely took ourselves to value town. With that last hand, we decided to call it a day. We head to the cage and cash out. Thank you guys so much for watching. You see, we just got home. It's around 3 a.m. We ended up the session down $505. That's really not that bad considering that under 1 hour in the session we were down over 1,000. So hey, you know, we didn't get in the green, but we made half of it back more or less. So it feels kind of like a win if we're being positive. Yeah, thank you guys for watching my second vlog. As usual, every Sunday we're gonna have a new one, and I put the shorts every day. I try to most of the time. So make sure you subscribe, leave a like, it helps out a lot, and leave a comment. Tell me what you think about how I played. You agree, disagree, and I'll see you guys next Sunday.